Hey friends, Christy here with Little Roots Ranch. Oh, no turkeys. Ooh, they must be mad at me. Anyways, it is the very beginning of August, which in and of itself is crazy. But I wanted to show you how my tomatoes are doing. So before I show you all my tomatoes, I wanted to go over a few things. So this is my first year in a long time growing tomatoes outside of the greenhouse, which I think I picked a bad year for that little experiment, because the early summer was so cold and rainy and whatever. But anyways, my greenhouse did get away from me. That's why I don't have any greenhouse videos. Currently the chickens are cleaning up and we'll be back in business for next year. But I did grow my tomatoes outside, and it's been a while since I've done that. And I know a lot of you are interested in how mine are doing, or, you know, a lot of you had tomato growth that was larger than mine or whatnot. I just want to show you what I have going on because we're in the same climate and tomatoes are generally challenging for everyone. But anyways, so I will give you a tour. So another quick thing was that the place that I have the tomatoes planted, which is right behind me and right there, was actually not my ideal spot to plant them, because as you can see, they're in the shade right now, but they actually spend a good amount of time in the shade. And what it really came down to was that I had starts that were getting way too big, and the beds that I thought I was going to be able to get to, it was looking like I wasn't going to. And so it's better to have slightly shaded tomatoes than non-shaded tomatoes. But also up here, we get so much sun, you know, and so when you talk about full sun, that's, you know, we have 2 full sun days in a regular day, you know, like, but anyways, so without further ado, I will show you the tomatoes. So behind me, this bed that is huge, and the tomatoes are probably planted 1.5 feet up. Let's see, this is my really big one. But like, as you can see, well, that's the cottonwood. That's not, let's see, I turn a different angle. There we go. They're really big. And so this bed is all entirely plum tomatoes. And and Juliet's, which I'll get to Juliet. But so basically tomatoes that are mostly for sauce. But primarily the whole bed is my personal favorite tomato. If I could only grow 2 tomatoes on this planet, I would grow the Juliet and the, Sun Gold, because they taste like candy and I can't help it. Juliets are a plum, or not plum, sorry, plum, yes. But they're a little bit larger than cherry tomatoes, but they're the best all around tomatoes. So they're not a big beefsteak or anything like that. They're not a tiny cherry. They're closer to cherry than not. They have lower juice or whatever, great for sauces or canning, which I do a lot of, but then also good for fresh eating and freezing or putting in things. They're my favorite, and they're smaller. For us in the Pacific Northwest, especially if you're growing outside, it's very difficult sometimes depending on the year, but even a lot of times for growing like the big, huge beefsteaks that you'll see gardeners maybe of the South or the East Coast or something putting up. And so for me, I like to hedge my bets and grow naturally smaller tomatoes, because I do honestly think that quantity, well, I guess that quality isn't bad, but the quantity is amazing. And so that's what I love. So let me get you flipped around and I'll show you a little bit more about my tomatoes. Okay, so beautiful tomato bed here. So real quick, you'll notice I have several different trellising methods in this bed. Specifically, the major one I have is that concrete mesh stuff that is why you see them in like little circles or whatever. And so I buy like, I don't know, it comes in like rolls of 200 feet, and I cut them in like, I think 7-foot lengths. Don't quote me on that. I do have a video on it, but I don't remember offhand. I use them every year. But I do still have some of these random tomato ones, or like the old school ones. But over here, I kind of have a random mix of tomatoes. And these are ones I believe, or no, these are mine. I say I have a few that tomatoes were gifted to me or whatnot. But as you can see, I have so many flowers, so many. So I will have tomatoes pretty soon, but not so much there. My plants are really dense, and my plan is to, when the tomatoes are ripe, I'm gonna come in and trim them and harvest all the tomatoes. But you can kind of see in here, look at the pretty tomatoes. So this is just to show a little bit of size. So obviously they're still growing, but they're not, I do have big hands, but they're pretty good size, like maybe the size of 2 cherries, maybe 3. I don't know, they vary a little bit. I'll take you around the back end. Here's a random tomato that I planted that is falling over because he has 0 trellis. But here again, you can see, here's a little bit of the longer. And again, these are all of the Juliets, which are my favorite. Here I've got lots of flowers, and these plants are tall. They are on a raised bed. They're about 1.5 feet up. But still, the majority of them are taller than me. This side doesn't have as much fruit as the other one, which would make sense because they're in the shade. Let's see here. It's also hard to find. Let me go around the other side. Oh, snail, bad guy. Let's see here. So on this side, there's just really, see, these ones are just coming in. If you go actually inside, there's a bunch there. And like on the surface, you don't really see anything, but they're all, see, these ones are kind of falling out. I'm going for more of a wild, see, there's those ones. And then in through here, oh, get out of here, leaf. In through here, you've got them. And so really big, beautiful, healthy plants. Here's some more down here. Basically, they're just everywhere. They kind of blend in because they're green like the leaves. But when they start popping red, then I'll really realize, oh, those ones are not doing so good. I'll show you those. I'll clip that one off. Those look diseased. So I'll take that off, but wanted to show you since I saw it. But yeah, so these are all of my canning tomatoes, my saucers, whatever. And then over here, this is definitely a hodgepodge of tomatoes. Lots of flowers, as you can see. So, and again, if you saw one of my tour videos a while back, I kind of talked a little bit more about the trellising when they were still smaller. But for the most part, I've got these old tomato cages lining the front with my determinate tomatoes. And then back here, I've got the cattle panel, and then I've got my cherry tomatoes on that. So I like to let those grow wild. And I'm actually surprised these cherry tomatoes are very late this year. I have a few little ones. I've been eating all of them that come off of the sun golds. And these are all sun gold because those are just my favorite of the little cherry. They taste like candy. I love to dehydrate them. Let's see here. Over here, I really don't have anything going on. I've got, oh, that's kind of interesting. So this is what we call a king flower, cat flower, or something like that. But you see how this looks really wonky? Whenever you see this, this will produce a really misshapen tomato, and it will take a lot of energy out of the plant to produce. So if you see that, you just take it off. But see, to give you reference, there's a large tomato flower, and then there's this monster. And so in the long term, that plant will be a lot better off. I know sometimes it's hard to cut off the tomato flowers in thinking that they're gonna be bigger. But over here, this one, looks like we got another one I haven't eaten yet. I'm pretty good at keeping up with them. Little baby tomatoes popping everywhere. So basically kind of in the initial growth phase, I've got some larger ones coming here. I don't remember what kind. I think Galahad or Marbon, one of the two. Let's see, do I have any? These are all determinates, so they'll all set fruit about the same time. Looks like here I've got a few growing. But yeah, Anyways, I just want to show you what I have going on, because I know that sometimes with the garden tours, it's, you know, such a long video and so many different things. And I know that, or it is my opinion at least, that gardeners really, I think the tomato is the main thing that everyone waits for. And I'll be honest, I'm guilty of that myself. So my plants are doing really great. They were started later. You know, I should have checked the dates, but I started mine, I think it was May, and transplanted out mid-June. They've grown really fast, and so now just huge thrushes of flowers, and I cannot wait for all the tomatoes. And then I will spend like 2 weeks canning tomato sauce, tomato juice, tomato, basically everything, lots of salsas and all that stuff. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear how your tomatoes are doing, if you think that they are under or overperforming from previous years, and if you're growing outside or growing in a greenhouse, and any tips you have for the community. Anyways, thanks for watching. Happy gardening. Bye.